Hi, George.
Hey,
Well,
how's it going?
it's going okay, I suppose. I can't seem to get the OBS to work, but maybe with a little bit of help I can. How's your day been?
It's been all right day. A little boring, but it's to be expected.
Yeah. So
How's
so
yours
what
been?
what 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 do you do in a day in your what would you prefer me to call it where you are at the moment?
I don't know, you could call it mental health hospital.
MHH. Okay. Um so what's your I mean, what's the food like? What's what are the people like? Do you want us do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so typically I wake up around 12. I get woken up to go for lunch. But today I got woken up at 10 because I go to the gym and I have a lady, nice lady who takes me to the gym twice a week. It's just a short, like 15, no, well, it's half an hour, but I usually just take about 15, 20 minutes. Just, a few punching bags, stretching the legs. One thing, one of the biggest things that that you lack when you're in mental health hospital is the ability to exercise because there's just no space and they don't take you out much. That's so lack of vitamin D and a lack of exercise. That's the two biggest. I've put on well over 15, 20 kilos since I got sectioned, which is really upsetting.
So
Uh,
you can go to the gym every day if you wanted to.
no,
No.
it's just twice a week, unfortunately.
Right, right. And the gym is not in your institution. You have to go outside.
It's in the basement, but it's not really. It lacks a lot of equipment. I'd call it more of an exercise studio than a gym.
Mm-hmm.
It lacks a lot of essential weightlifting equipment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, does it have I mean, would you prefer having an exercise bike in your room? Because I think if I were in your position, I suppose I'd want, that, and then I wouldn't have to, you know.
What would be good is if they had like one of those athletic running tracks around the hospital and allowed us every day for like an hour to run around. People
Mhm,
in jail get to go outside to stretch their legs every day. You
mhm.
don't be allowed.
Prison yard. Mm.
Yeah, the prison yard. You don't have that in mental health hospital. You don't get the prison yard equivalent. I feel like prisoners are treated better than mental health patients.
Mhm, mhm. But I mean, I suppose your room looks quite roomy, if you don't mind me saying that. It seems quite a big room.
It is, but then if you look at my bed, it's one of those plasticky, uncomfortable beds, and I won't show you, but my sheets are all stained.
Mm.
Uh, the size of the room's fine, but it's shared toilets, and let's
Mm.
just say this: not a lot of these patients do not have the same toilet etiquette as I do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and as someone who's um, not used to sharing toilets, I've lived at home most of my life, and then I had
Mhm.
my own flat. I never went to uni. I never don't really deal with sharing with toilets with other people, and so it's probably the most stressful thing. Like
Yeah.
I just had to use the toilet now, and I realized afterwards that the floor there was like urine on the floor, so I
Mm.
had to throw my shorts into the pile of washing now and use my other pair of shorts.
Mhm.
It's just not fun.
No, no. And you have do you know when you will be out?
So 2 weeks ago, I got told 3 weeks. So I've got something called a ward round, which is when I talk to the doctor on Tuesday, and I'm hoping to be given a leave date. this Tuesday. So fingers crossed.
Hmm.
Just another week and a half away before my freedom.
Right. And your doctor, I mean, I suppose that they'll be asking you questions to see if you're getting better, that kind of thing. Is that what happens when they see you?
Not really. It's more of a formality. They just call you in. You can ask them questions about leaving, medication, and then it's just like a quick 15 minutes and you're out. Um, so, and maybe it's because in Lebanon, I was in private hospital, right? But one of the
Hmm.
big differences here compared to Lebanon was in Lebanon, they brought over psychologists who would sit down with me for a one-to-one for up to half an hour and really discuss things in depth and give
Hmm.
me strategies to help improve. Well,
Hmm.
I've not seen a psychologist once in the UK. It's just literally meds, meds, meds. That's what they care about.
Wow. Wow. Because I would have thought, if you've been sectioned, you get, personal attention like, well, how are you today? How are you feeling? And, what have you been
Um,
doing today? And,
None of that. They don't
oh,
care. It's just turn up for lunch, turn up for medication, and that's it.
hmm. Well, I mean, I suppose over the course of history, mental institutions have not been, well, I suppose I'm quite interested in the subject, but um, I guess sometimes they try, but maybe it's not so good for the patient or something. I think they have co-baths and I don't know, straight jackets and you know things like that. And I suppose the drugs would be so they don't have to do these things, and it's easier for them, kind of thing, right? And
Uh,
I suppose the
I
luxury.
think that's just Hollywood. I mean, those straight jackets do exist, but I feel like they'd only use it on people that are highly dangerous, and that's probably people that have like criminals that have been involved with violent crime.
Hmm.
Um, I've seen none of that over here. Like most people here have, they've committed some minor thing like smashing a window or assaulted someone who was racist, which to be honest with you, I think is my personal views is that's justified. Someone's racist and then they get their ass beaten up. They deserved it. I don't think they should ever put the person in mental health hospital. But I mean, look, I'm in mental health hospital and I've done nothing, absolutely nothing. I've been wrongly accused just because my mother and wife didn't like my behavior. They kept calling the mental health nurse, scaring her, telling her I'm crazy, threatening them. And then they saw a picture of me holding my daughter. It's a 2-year-old picture holding the Lady River Thames in the sky. And then they suddenly thought there's a video of me dangling my children over the River Thames, which is also a damn right lie. And that's why that's the excuses they've used to put me
Mm.
in hospital. And they've put me in hospital for 6 weeks now. There's a person who smashed the window, came in. He was here for less than a week and he's already been released. I don't know why I've been held for so long. It's just ridiculous. But I think it's probably to do with the fact that I've got these political opinions and religious opinions that they're trying to suppress. A bit like how Andrew Tate got. Do you know this story about Andrew Tate?
Yes, yes,
So, do you want to hear something interesting?
sure.
So, do you watch The Matrix?
I saw it years ago, something about the blue and red pill. Yes.
Yeah. So, a lot of people say that Andrew Tate is Morpheus, okay? And I jokingly say I'm Neo, right? If he's Morpheus, I'm Neo, fighting the system. And here's the
Okay, can you just tell us a story? I'm sorry, I'm a bit vague about Morpheus is the one who offers the red and the blue pill, yes?
to
And
Neo, and it's about
Neo, right.
and it's connected to the Trinity. So Morpheus is the Father, Neo is the Son, and it's part of the Trinity.
Hmm.
Okay, and on that topic, Matrix was released on the 31st of March. When was when was Andrew Tate released from his prison? 31st of March. When was I sectioned? 31st of March. Coincidence?
Mm, mm. Yes, I suppose so.
There's a lot of these
Huh.
coincidences in my life.
So, so you think the best kind of mental health care is basically people talking to you and asking you questions about yourself. That is what you would
Yes.
expect.
So, of the 4 times I've been sectioned now, the most important thing I ever got was when I was with a psychologist, and she told me you just need to push the boundaries more slowly, which which I understood. Like when I get in my sort of hypermania phase, I want to push boundaries really quickly, and that's what's panicking the normies and the sheep. So I've
Right.
learned to push the boundaries more slowly.
What do you mean by pushing the boundaries? So, what sort of thing would you do as you push boundaries?
For example, I walked around topless um, in December in London
Hmm.
with walking around, and I went up to the American housing where they house the CIA, and I knocked on the glass and asked if it was bulletproof. That's kind of pushing boundaries.
Yes, yes. Gosh.
And
So what
I think
is it?
that's why the CIA followed me. So the CIA were following me. One thing I can tell people, this is true. I'm certain of it. I would bet my life. What the secret services do when they're following you is they imitate you, and they can imitate you in a number of ways. They can wear similar clothing to you. They'll try and copy your walking patterns. Um, they'll try and find people of similar build, dress similar to you. The only thing that I can't tell you is why they do it. I don't know why they do it, but I think by mimicking you, they can influence you maybe somehow. But I'm not too certain on the science of how that works.
So basically, you say you've been seeing people who look like you. Is that what you're saying?
Dressed like me, so I was limping with my left leg, right? Because I'd injured my kneecap from over exercise.
Uh huh.
I was walking around Kennington Park topless as usual, and there was a guy that was limping in a similar fashion, right? So
Hmm.
I put my hand on him and I said to him, "You've injured your leg," as a joke to like tell him like I know what's going on here.
Hmm.
And he replied, "Oh yeah, I know," with a strong, heavy American accent. And let me tell you this: before I started getting political, I had never met anyone with an American accent. And in just that one month period, I met 3 people with American accents.
Hmm. Well, I suppose it could still be coincidence, and I guess if you're looking for something, you can kind of, I don't know, you just notice things more when, but if you're not looking for it, you wouldn't even notice, I guess is
I,
what I'm.
I, I agree with you there, but honestly, they're too obvious. Like, um, it's happened to me so many times. Like, because I was in the NCA as well, which I've told you about, right? Which is
National Crime Agency, you say?
yeah. Um,
The interview.
and I had experiences.
Right.
It,
Oh,
it,
your sound is going, I'm afraid. You're frozen, and I can't hear you anymore. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe you can leave and come back again because you are frozen and I can't hear you.
Sorry, someone keeps calling me. It's disturbing my ability to think. Have
Oh,
you
right.
have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen the video of when someone places a fake hand next to a real hand,
No.
and it basically the brain gets tricked into thinking the fake hand is the real hand.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's to do with that. It's some way of trying to trick your subconscious into believing these other people are you. I can't explain it for you. Like I said, I'm certain. I would bet my life that those people were working for secret services.
Well, I suppose if I were feeling paranoid and I saw people that I thought looked like me and were lurking around, I guess I would think, oh, maybe they're going to do something bad, and then I'm going to get the blame for these people who look like me. You know, that might be what I would think if I was, paranoid, I suppose.
Yeah, look, again, this is how the secret services get away with what they do, because there's always some rational other reason that you could rationalize and say to someone, "Oh, you were looking," but this is just it's simply not the case. You gotta trust it from someone who's a high IQ, highly intelligent, has been through. This isn't my first rodeo. I've been through all this stuff, and I'm certain of what happened. Like, I'm certain that person was just mimicking me, um, and worked for the Secret Service. But that's how they get away with what they get away with, because how can you prove it if you just grab him and tell some random person, tell the police? No one's gonna believe you. This is the magic of what they do. But it doesn't work like with me. I mean, maybe next time I should try and record it to show you how the person was walking, and then maybe. But even
But I
then,
mean, what would that prove anyway? That there was somebody looking like you. I mean, it's not against the law. You know, it's not a crime to resemble you and or even
exactly.
imitate you. You know.
But yeah, that's how they get away with it. That's how you skirt the law. But the
But
truth
then I would
is,
ask the next question is get away with what?
sorry.
The next question I would ask is get away with what?
Well, surveilling, right? This goes against what
I'm afraid
I
you're
around us.
fading away. The sound is intermittent.
Sorry.
Your sound, your audio, it comes in and fades away. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay, yeah, your audio's quite low as well.
Oh, okay. I can hear you now, but sometimes you fade away. I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay.
Hmm. So you've been in mental health hospitals in Lebanon as well, and you're saying that the private ones are better, obviously, because they give you personal attention. What sort of questions would they ask you when they are giving you personal attention?
Um, they just ask you to explain the situation, that what you went through, and then what you think about that, and then they
Oh,
take that
why do
away,
you
and
think
then
you're
they
here, kind of
suggest. What was that?
thing? They ask you why you think you're here, in the hospital. I
That's what they do in the UK hospital, and I really find that question so annoying. A lot of the doctors ask me that, like, why do you think you're here? And then you tell them your spiel, look, I'm innocent, my wife and this and that, and they don't really care what you say. Um, they're just checking to see whether you accept that you're mentally ill or not. And if you don't, it just works against you. So one tip I would say to people is, if you're innocent, as I am, don't plead your innocence. It doesn't help. It falls on deaf ear. Deaf ear. 100% of their admissions are all mentally ill. Which you got to question, like, how could that be? How could it be that they make no mistakes? how is it that every single person that gets sectioned on the Mental Health Act, they've never made a mistake. Every single one of them needs medication, and they're all mentally ill, because that's just how brain dead these people are. So the lesson learned, in the future, I'll just say, yeah, I've got bipolar, I'm mentally ill, give me the medications, and just do your time and get out as soon as possible.
So you say you are a regular at Speaker's Corner. I don't know if you know IC3. Do you know IC3?
No, I mean, I say regular. I've been to Speaker's Corner 3 times,
Okay, that's not very regular. Okay, right.
but I was planning to go regularly, but then I got sectioned.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be back um, as soon as I'm out, because
Right.
I'm walking distance from Speaker's Corner. It's like a 1 hour walk from my house,
Mm-hmm. Oh
so I'll
yes, well,
definitely go there.
it's a nice walk, I guess. And do you have a sort of do you talk to certain people? Do you? I guess the Muslims dominate, don't they?
Yeah,
There's
so
more.
far I've only been debating other Muslims. I debated Hamza's Den, um, and I've been debating Khalid. And yeah, I'm open to debating anyone really. Well, like what I found also was I spent like many hours. I think it was one day I stayed there till like 7 p.m. maybe, just debating other random people. I met some Afghanis. Um, there's just lots of different cultures, and it's just good to go somewhere where I can just debate people and just talk about differences in culture. Um, it's just nice. It's stimulating.
Yes, yes, I think of it as a cocktail party without the cocktails, with no small talk, which is great. You can jump into your favorite topic without asking about anybody's health or what they do or whatever. So when I do go, I enjoy it. Um, as a yeah, and you can talk about politics and obviously for a lot of people, it's very difficult to talk about it. They're nervous of talking about it, um, or even if they're not nervous of talking about it, I guess the people they talk about politics with are not very interested in discussing it with them, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I think these are sensitive topics. They can get you in trouble, I guess. But I personally think it's better to have an opinion than to not have any opinion or to hide away from an opinion. We only live once. I know some people's their only aim in life is to chase money, and whatever. That's them, but that's never brought me happiness. So
Mhm.
I think one thing I've always been religious. I've always believed in God, but I've had like a spiritual reawakening um, since December last year, and it's just made me happy.
Yes, your epiphany we were discussing last time. I think in the olden days, people would write in their diaries what they thought about their government. I suppose that's what they did. And I've heard advice about, people who feel angry with somebody and they say, well, just pretend you're writing them, a letter and tell them exactly what you think of them. But don't send the letter, just tear it up, but you'll feel better after you've done it. And apparently it always works. People do feel better after they've, you know, wrote their poison pen letter that they don't send.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um,
There's many techniques like that that help.
have you
Me
tried that?
personally, the epiphany just made me more spiritual, more connected. Now it's interesting because I read today an article from the BBC about a girl going through bipolar and how she also had this like spiritual awakening, and like, but she got really messed up because she weren't sleeping, and she thought she was in a dream, and everything wasn't real life, and she was buying people McDonald's meals, and she was kissing random strangers. Um, this like bipolar is it's what I think it's a magic, but it has to be controlled. I see it like I don't know if you've watched the X-Men, but it's like a superpower, but you have to control it. If you let it go loose, it's very dangerous. The lack of sleep will lead to psychosis. Luckily, this time around, I was in control of my bipolar. I was making sure I was sleeping. I was exercising like a machine, coming home, making sure I spent every day an hour or two with my family and my kids. So I was making time for them. I was functioning very well, but my wife just had to basically end my fun.
Hmm. Well, yes, I suppose spouses have a tendency to do that. So, was there something you did that she said she found annoying?
She was just running scared because she knew that my behavior was different, and she remembered what happened the year before. The year before, I did lose control and I did become psychotic. And so she was scared it was going to repeat a repeat of history. And she was trying to get intervention happen before it got to that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she spoiled the party basically. I was enjoying my life, but she spoiled it. And during this time, I met. He said,
Sorry, you just faded away. I didn't hear the last 5 seconds of what you said.
"Say that again."
I didn't, yeah, I didn't hear the last 5 seconds of what you just said. So I hope
I
you'll say it
was I
again.
was saying even during my time when I was in my mania, I was talking to Khalid, meeting up with him, and even he can bear witness the fact that I was fine. There was nothing wrong with me.
Hmm.
I was
Do
holding
you,
stimulating conversation. There was
yes,
there was nothing really weird about my behavior. I was just a normal individual debating religion with him.
yes, yes. I mean, you certainly sound saner than the other people that I talk to. So I guess your wife is nervous of you doing. I guess she would be watching you like a hawk, I suppose, and be jumping, be very jumpy. I imagine if you know.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I don't know if you want to tell us this about, what was the worst thing you ever did when you were psychotic?
Um. It's a good question. I'm trying to think back to last year now because I didn't do anything bad this year. Last year, oh, well, it was a big misunderstanding. But what happened was I bought not a shotgun, like a hunting rifle.
Uh
Okay.
huh. Yeah.
So I had that. This was when I was abroad. So I went abroad to Lebanon
Hmm.
and I put that in the car. Now, the day before, I'd been silly with the local town villagers, and I made a bet with them that if I buy them a TV, I can spray paint their like little police hut building, which they agreed to as a joke, not realizing I would actually do it. So I spray painted it, and they got angry. So they wanted to get revenge. I sprayed like loads of blue crosses on their hut. But the
Hmm.
problem was I was being political and thinking like the Israelis were against me and all this stuff. I was
Hmm.
running paranoid.
Hmm.
And to scare me, they thought they would get a guy who would put his the Palestinian scarf over his face and run up to me with a gun. So I was in the car and someone run up to me with a gun and a Palestinian scarf over his face, and like looked like he was trying to shoot. So I genuinely believed like I was about to die,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm already in a manic phase.
Mm-hmm.
So I I ducked for a second, trying to like react, not knowing what to do. I was like, "What the hell? What the hell?" And then I remembered I had a shotgun, so I pulled out the shotgun and got out the car.
Mm-hmm.
The hunting rifle. It's not a shotgun. It would have, if I shot someone with it, it would have probably hurt them, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been killed them.
Mm-hmm.
The person ran away though, so I couldn't find him. But I got really scared and paranoid. And they didn't expect me to have the hunting rifle. So all the villagers who had set this up started panicking, thinking I'm gonna kill someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they blocked my escape route. So they blocked with their car. They blocked the road, so I couldn't leave. So I got angry and started firing in the air with my hunting rifle.
Oh dear.
Which, yeah, I wish I didn't do because it just escalated the situation.
Yes. Oh no.
Um, and then someone who was like not connected to this whole like issue heard the gunshots and decided he'd get involved and fired 2 shots of his own in the sky. Now that startled me because I thought someone tried to shoot me.
Oh no.
So I ran away in some random neighborhood that I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the people there, and I knocked on some random guy's door. And him seeing like a bearded guy with a hunting rifle, he panicked and he pulled out his gun and put it to my face. So I panicked and ran, but instead of running away from his house, I accidentally ran into his land.
Right.
So then he thought he had to defend his land because he thought I was a thief. So he ran after me and shot at me 3 times. I could have been dead, but he missed. I was hiding in his like shed, and he
Right.
was shooting at me, trying like but not the right way. He thought I was somewhere else. Anyway, finally we got to like a gun to gun point, and he told me to like put down my rifle, which I did. And then like 6 other men came, all thinking I was a thief, and started beating me. They were trying to kill me. They were like kicking my head in, kicking my chest. I mean, luckily God built me really strong because even though they
Uh-huh.
were kicking my head in and stomping on me, I didn't have any injuries because my
Right.
bones are quite thick and strong.
Ah.
So I could thank God for that. He like he gave me genetics of like a really robust
A
genetic.
constitution of an ox.
Sorry.
A constitution of an ox, I suppose.
Yes, indeed. So I survived without any injuries. But yeah, I could have
You,
died
you
that
could
day.
have been shot 3 times, and
I could have been shot 3 times. I had
yeah,
people trying to kick my head in, like I could have gotten brain damage.
yeah.
But that's when they took me to. That's when I first got sectioned for the first time in my life, and that was in the
Right.
Lebanon last year.
Uh-huh.
But really, even to this day, yeah, I was manic. But really, I still blame those guys who ran up to me with a handgun. No one believed me as well. People didn't believe me. They all thought I was seeing things. Because of this is the problem when people label you as mental health, no one believes you anymore. So people,
Mm,
actual things can happen to you, and no one will believe you.
yes. Yes, I can imagine.
So it's not a good label to have plastered on you, to be honest with you.
No, no, I suppose, understandably, your wife would be a little nervous if she thinks she sees signs of, it happening again.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm really angry because I just lost the first 6 months of the year um, in mental health hospitals. And for what? What's the point? My wife doesn't understand that I'm not going to stay on the medication. I don't believe in it. So if I just get manic again, she just needs to accept that's how I'm gonna be. That's my new personality. But yeah, I gotta be just more careful because I can't give her ammunition. I gotta be careful not to make any threats and not because they get really jumpy once I'm in that manic phase.
Yes, yes, that is true. But I suppose you will have to. Um, I don't know what's. I can't hear you.
Sorry,
Oh, now I can. I couldn't hear you for a bit. So
I was waiting on you. Did you ask me a question?
I mean, no, I was listening to you talking, and then it cut out, and then I thought, oh, the audio's gone again, and anyway, we're talking now. So, what's wrong with the medication? Well, I know people, don't like taking their medication, but is there, does it make you feel strange, the medication? Or
I'm just anti all medication. There's nothing that bad about the medication, to be honest. It does make me feel weak. Like I feel like I'm stuck. It's like you can't go into gear 5 or 6 of a car. It's like I can push myself, but then I give up quickly because there's a limitation on how high I can go.
uh-huh.
Um, and I just hate the idea of drugs. I just like to be natural.
Yes, I think yes, I feel that myself. I mean, actually, I don't know, but I well, I have had recreational drugs to, for fun. I mean, I just sort of, think, oh, but I don't want any drugs to control my moods. But there was a time when I was feeling, anxious and depressed, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor, I thought, too quickly prescribed me Prozac, and then I wasn't sure, and I thought, really I should have to pester her a few times before she gave me that, but she gave it to me immediately, you know. So and then I decided not to take it.
Yeah, there's a pill culture. The first thing they should be doing is trying to find you help through psychology or other things. But no, it's this big pharma. Like they just give pills, make the pharmaceutical companies rich, and rather than cure the problem, they just hide the symptoms.
Yes, these psychotropic drugs, I think, um, well, I suppose they would have the effect of controlling people's moods, but I often wonder whether it is actually a mental health issue to feel depressed about something, or to feel anxious or guilty, or whatever it is, because obviously, if we're feeling guilty, we must have thought we did something wrong, and maybe we need to, face all the consequences of our emotions and work through our problems and think them through rather than take a pill and not feel the emotional pain, because the emotional pain will make us do something. Well, hopefully, in a way that would resolve our problem.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It depends on the issue, but look, I spent the most of last year depressed, like more like huge, heavy depression, and I never faced depression before. It's a weird feeling, and it's because I got stuck in lots of debt, and I just didn't see any future. It's just dead end job, paying off my debt and mortgage, and that's not how we humans should live. Especially someone like me, I'm made to be free. I can't. Other humans, they're able to ignore these issues or not let them affect them that much. But because I'm bipolar, I hold on to the negatives, and it weighs me down. Um, and so I need to start pursuing careers that I enjoy, not just purely doing them for the money. And I need to position myself, which I have now by living with my parents, in an environment where I don't take on debt. So I'm trying to sell my flat to pay off all my debts, and then I'm free because I could work, say 6, 7, 8, 9 months, 10 months, a year or two, save up money, and then I could go on holiday for a few months. And so what I plan on doing once I sell my flat, God willing, in the next month or two, I'm planning to go to the Lebanon for 3 months, purchasing a motorbike and just exercising, riding my motorbike, and being free from all of life's worries.
Easy rider.
Indeed.
So can you actually ride a motorbike already, or would you have to take lessons?
No, I'm just gonna teach myself.
Uh huh.
I'm a fast learner.
Right.
It's not hard.
No, I suppose it's quite easy once you know how to ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
But why not a car? I mean, to escape the weather, you know.
Well, the weather in Lebanon will be nice and sunny, but it's more to do with money. Cars will be more expensive.
Right, right. And do you have a route? I guess you're going to be traveling from one place to another. Is that the
N-
plan?
No, no, I plan to stay local. I plan on hopefully working with my wife's dad. He's got his farm that he's building up. So I hope to go there every day with him to do exercise and just work on his farm. We're building up this massive wall around his farm.
Hmm.
And then maybe go into the gym and then just driving a motorcycle, just riding it about. It's just a means of transport because in my village there's no transport
Ah,
options other than using my own feet or a bike. I also
right,
want to take up horse riding, start doing a lot of horse riding.
right. Will your wife be there?
No, so I'm taking my wife to Lebanon end of June, God willing, for 2 weeks as long as my son Hector's passport arrives. Then we're gonna fly back to the UK and I'm gonna wait till the flat sells, which I'm hoping is as soon as possible. Then I'm taking around 2 to 3 months off, away from my wife, away from my mother, away from my kids, away from everything. Just me time. After
Mhm.
getting tortured in hospital for so long, I think I deserve a bit of me time.
Well, I suppose you could say that you are having me time now, where you
No,
are.
this is torture. This is not me time. This is terrible. It's like I'm not happy. Um, I would say I'm stuck between. I'm not happy. I'm not seriously depressed. I'm just existing right now. It's an existence, and it's not good. I don't like it. It's not life. Life has its ups and downs. This is just plain old boring. Every day is the same. It's so stable. But this is the thing. Life isn't like that. True life, having if your whole life was stable, your life sucked. Your life was boring. Life is about dips and ups and downs. That's life. And the
Mhm.
waves of the ocean. The waves of the ocean are beautiful. And the waves of the sea, up and down, up and down. There's nothing more beautiful about it. If it's just still, it's boring.
So, what is your routine every day then, George? You said they'd wake you in the morning and then maybe take you to the gym.
So the normal day is I wake up at 12, I have my lunch, 12, 12:30, come back to my room, sit on my phone, watch YouTube and TikTok for like 2, 3, 4 hours. Then at 5 p.m. is dinner time. Have my dinner. Asked to go to the shop, buy loads of snacks and chocolates and sweets. And today I spent £6 on chocolates and sweets. Come back, get my laptop, put on a film, for munch on these sweets and chocolates. 9 p.m. 9:30. I have my supper, which is usually cereal. It's meant to be toast, but I refuse to toast. I want cereal. And then um, come back 10, 11. I'm usually on my phone, have have a shower, and then I'm in bed some point between 11 and 12.
Well, I suppose that there might be people who say, "Well, that sounds all right." They like to live like the way you do,
A
because it
day or
doesn't
two
make
might
you
be fine, but I'm honestly bored of watching movies. I've watched so much movies that when I get out of here, I probably won't watch a movie for the rest of the year.
really. Okay.
Honestly.
So when you said you played computer games, I thought, well, what computer game? And there's a game called Civilization. Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, I like that game.
Could you tell us a bit about it, please? Because I think I bought it. I liked the idea, but I never played it. Or I didn't play it properly.
So Civilization is a game that's set in different civilizations. So you start off like in a historic civilization like Roman era, and you start trying to colonize your neighbors and build up your technology and power so that you can then become like a modern army, with tanks and so on. So
Okay,
it's a
it's about
strategy
global
game.
domination. Okay,
Yeah, global domination, indeed.
right. And do you play it now?
No Civilization. No, I play some other similar games. I play Risk.
Oh yes, 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 I know it. Um, what as a board game or as a computer game?
On the phone.
Right. With actual people.
Yeah, yeah, actual people. We can play together, maybe.
Hmm.
I
Do
got
you,
a question for you.
sure.
How come you on your videos you have this like picture of someone with a hijab, but then on Khalid's videos you can see your full face?
Well, because I'm not actually Muslim, but I am selling this thing called secular Quranism. So my avatar is intended to suggest that I am, you know, s- something to do with Islam. And I mean that's why I have it really. It's a kind of branding thing because I'm selling secular Quranism. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, I
It's
know
a
you say
moral, illegal political system.
you're secular Quranism, but then you also say that you're agnostic.
Well, yes, because I'm saying you don't actually have to believe in God to understand that your laws have to be based on a moral system. Otherwise, you're just basically leaving it to your politicians to make up the rules as they go along, and what they do won't won't be in the national interest because okay, basically most people don't know what's good for themselves. They often do things that are harmful to themselves. They have addictions and they do crazy things that hurt themselves and their families. So I'm saying okay, children don't know what's good for themselves. I mean, they might eat too many sweets and make themselves sick. They might um I don't know. I suppose adults can do that. They can um, mix with bad company and be led astray and not pass their exams and don't study and don't do, all that kind of thing. And basically, most people don't know what's good for themselves. But what is even scarier is that most rulers don't know what's good for themselves. And when you think of the history of Western civilization, it's all about war. It's all about starting wars and losing empires. And I think that, oh, God. Well, I hope he comes back again. Um, but basically, I'm saying that, well, we don't know what's good for themselves. Even clever people who become national leaders don't know what's good for themselves. But we have these moral systems that we have.
I think I pressed something and I
Uh,
disconnected.
right, right. So I was saying, um, children don't know what's good for themselves and need parents to tell them what they are. And quite often, adults themselves don't know what's good for themselves. And also, national leaders don't know what's good for their country because of, all the silly wars that they started and lost. Hitler and Vietnam and, you know, all
Iran
these.
war, Libyan war,
Yeah, yeah.
Afghan war.
So they don't know. And um, but actually, if you read the Quran, there's a lot of sensible rules as to, that say, well, I think they're sensible, and I also think that the founding fathers had read the Quran, or certainly Jefferson had, and a lot of um, well, the amendments, the First Amendment is from Chapter 2, verse 256 of the Quran that says there is no compulsion in belief, truth stands clear from error. The Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, has the idea of not having a standing army, because if you have a standing army, you just won't be able to resist using them because you think, well, there they are. I have to pay for them. They're accommodated in barracks. I'm paying for them. They can bloody well do something for us. And, we'll go and attack these people,
Yeah,
somewhere else. So it's sort of irresistible, and the founding fathers understood that, and they basically said that there should be a citizens' militia, which is basically the men of a community policing themselves and when they're being attacked, organizing a defense force. And they're saying, um, because of the history of America, that this worked, because if you only had a militia, you're not going to be just sort of attacking other people's countries, because the cost of it would be too much. Because it's like, it's only your part-time job. Actually, you have another job. You're probably a farmer, or a teacher, or whatever. You're not a policeman full-time, and therefore you want to go back to your other job. um but if your full-time job is a soldier, you'll be saying, well, I haven't fought a war in years. What's going on? Maybe my employment prospects, my career prospects would be improved if I, if I fought a few wars and were given a few medals. So the founding fathers understood that and said we should just have a citizens' militia. But over the centuries, the Americans just basically ignored everything the founding fathers said, which is why they are, and we are where we are now.
yeah. My issue with Islam in its current state, I think the Quran itself is fine, but unfortunately we have this hadith, which is other non people that aren't Muhammad translating things how they think it should be translated, which is where all these issues usually come from. But then from that, you got these people making rules that are disgusting. For example, in Iran, a Muslim imam converted to Christianity and became a priest. They hung him. They killed him for it. This is wrong. Like there is a huge danger, and a lot of Islamic states are like this at the moment. I don't know why
Yeah, yeah,
they're
but
so anti-Christian or anti-Jew, because we are their forefathers. They should be more accepting of us and supporting us. And this is where I feel like there's this weird danger here. The devil is playing a smart game, because is causing all this conflict between Christians and Muslims. You only have to go to Speaker's Corner to see all the conflict between them, right?
Mhm.
But Christians and Muslims need to team up and support each other against these atheists, neoliberals in America that are causing chaos. Get all this trans crap, all this. There's just chaos. They're silencing people like Andrew Tate. They're going after anyone who doesn't sign up to their woke agenda, and they'll go after. I mean, God is definitely in their target sites. Then first they're knocking people down one by one because they know they can't go for God straight away. But then they're going after the church. They will mock. I saw a video on YouTube. Like on YouTube, you could just mock the church, call the people all Christians homophobic, blah blah blah, all this crap, labeling us, attacking us. Right? It's all fine. The one thing they're too afraid to attack at the moment is the Jews because the Jews own the media, and they're too afraid to attack the Muslims because Muslims get violent. But the Christians, it's open warfare on us right now. We're getting attacked left, right, and center, and nobody's doing anything about it. But it's a slippery slope because once they're done destroying Christians, which they're doing at the moment, Christians are converting to atheism at a crazy rate. Once they're done with the Christians, they'll go after the Jews and the Muslims because these neoliberals, they want a one world order where everyone accepts any degeneracy. Any degeneracy is acceptable.
Yes, yes, and I think that the problem is really, I think, the breakdown of Christianity, and I'm saying Christianity didn't just break down in the last 50 years. It broke down once the American Republic was established, because the whole point of the American Republic was saying Americans don't have to be Christians. They can be any religion they like. That was the whole point of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
You see, because you can understand how the founding fathers didn't want to be told that they were Christian, because they just, well, they knew their history was, basically all these Catholics and Protestants fighting each other. The wars of the Reformation, there were a series of terrible wars, um, and now people don't care or don't even understand what it's all about. But a lot of people were killed. I guess it was the equivalent of, another world war, but on the, you know, in Europe. And so I guess, that was the reason why the founding fathers said, well, we're not going to have this kind of terrible Christian on Christian religious intolerance of Christians killing each other for being the wrong kind of Christian. So, and so they had the First Amendment, but I'm saying the First Amendment actually comes from the Quran, which is something that they don't like admitting, because actually Jefferson, when he was a law student, in 1765, when he was only 22 years old, he ordered a copy of the George Sale translation of the Quran. So he had read it from a young age. And there were stories of him going to negotiate with the Barbary pirates when they were giving trouble to American shipping. So it's not a book that he didn't read, because when I make that point, the Islamophobes will say, "Oh, but we've all got books that we never read, don't we?" And I say, "Of course he read it. I mean, why would he not read it? Because people in those days didn't just casually order a book, because they were damn expensive things. In
Yeah, so
1760,
it probably inspired him. What is the First Amendment?
the First Amendment is freedom of belief and freedom of expression.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm saying it comes from chapter
So
2,
why
verse 256 of the Quran.
why doesn't all these Muslim nations then allow this freedom of belief and freedom of expression?
Well, because they break their own rules, but then Americans break their own constitution, don't they? And maybe Christians also break their own rules. It's like, well, they can't believe on, why are there so many different kinds of Christians believing in different kinds of things, but still calling themselves Christians? I guess they like doing things their own way, and then and refusing to admit that they've been wrong. I mean, actually, these Muslims, they've been ignoring their own verses as well. That they're supposed to admonish those who claim that God has begotten a son, and I assume that the reason is because it's actually idolatry to worship anything that isn't God, and I think we know the Jews, don't agree with Jesus being God, and I think the story is that Jesus was executed for blasphemy, and so I guess the story is a bit complicated. But it's also concerning because if God did forbid idolatry, then Christians have been guilty of 2,000 years of it, nearly.
No, Christian. I
Yeah, we
don't,
don't
I don't
know.
believe Jesus is God.
Yes, because they're Unitarian Christians who say Jesus was just a man, but he was a prophet of God, which is what the Muslims believe, because they Muslims honor Jesus as a prophet, and for good measure they say the Muslims accept the virgin birth, and they're not going to be rude about Mary, but we know Jews are rude about Mary, and and there are all kinds of stories saying that Jesus's father was probably a Roman soldier, something like that.
That's not rude, though. I think it's probably fact. It's not rude.
Hmm.
If she was like raped by a Roman soldier, she's still innocent.
Yeah, yeah, and um, I mean, but the story is a bit murky. But I guess as an agnostic, I'm not that bothered about the stories. I'm just saying, well, if we are supposed to live under these laws according to God, if He exists, then I'm going to choose the least restrictive laws. So, and I think and if there are only two.
Christianity is the least restrictive.
Well, yes, I mean, I guess the problem with Christianity is that it's a problem of scripture, because Jews and Muslims believe that their scripture comes from God. So Jews say the Torah was handed to Moses on Mount Sinai, and there were witnesses of all these Jews at the bottom of Mount Sinai seeing it happen, and Muslims say, well, Muhammad was a messenger, and he he went into a trance and recited the verses. But anyway, for whatever method, they were transcribed and compiled into the Quran. And however difficult we find it to believe, I mean, that's the story, and that's well, that is the story of Islam. But for the New Testament, it's like none of it is actually from Jesus. It's his reported speech and reported deeds by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And
All
then
of
if you
his reported deeds and speeches are, in my opinion, I mean, you could maybe say it's biased, but it's all divine. There's very little he said or did that you would say is a bad thing, except the one that I always talk about that people don't like me talking about, which is when he went to Lebanon and he got schooled by a Lebanese woman about his racism, and he conceded and he learned, and he was racist because he was a Jew, and that's normal. Jesus was.
what did he do that was racist again?
He went to Lebanon, and a Lebanese woman asked him to be healed. And he said to her, "Go away, you dog," which is what the Jews called the Gentiles. They called them dogs, animals not worthy of humans. And then she said to him, "The dog still eats scraps from underneath the table." To which he told her, "You go, you've been saved." But I think he realized he was racist there and
Mhm.
decided to save her. Now, some people are flipping that to say he was testing the Lebanese woman by reacting like that, but I don't think so. Because I think, let's be honest, he was brought up as a Jewish person. In his whole entire circle, all the people around him were always referring as Gentiles, as dogs, as these unworthy people. I honestly think he probably had that racism ingrained in him. Uh,
Mhm.
but luckily, he died not a racist because he realized what he did was wrong, and he decided to heal uh, a Lebanese woman, a Gentile.
Right. So is that story in the Bible
Yeah,
about him?
yeah,
Okay.
it's the only well, then when he got angry and started throwing the tables in the temple, they're the only times you see like Jesus like lose his temper or make a error in judgment.
Okay, so do you happen to know the chapter and verse about this story?
No, but I'm sure if you Google something along the
Right.
lines of 'cause it's yeah, I've Googled it. It's there. Um, just something along the lines of Lebanese woman or
Oh,
I
yes,
mean,
it says Jesus had traveled to its southern parts near Tyre, where the
yeah,
scripture tells that he killed a possessed Canaanite child.
yeah, Canaanites were the Lebanese people at the time. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
did you
Right.
see the verse on the woman?
It doesn't seem to. Hold on, let me just see. Oh, Mark, chapter 7, verse 24 to 26. So this is says Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He he entered a house and did not want anyone to know it, yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an evil spirit came and fell at his feet. She begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. And conveniently, I have the Bible on my desk, and I will look up Mark.
So Tyre is a city in South Lebanon.
Hmm.
My people.
Have you been there?
Yes, I have actually.
What's it like? Ancient.
Um, it's not that good. It's an Islamic sea. I prefer the Christian ones, to be honest with you.
Oh, right. Uh, okay, chapter
The Islamic
20.
sea are quite backwards in Lebanon, like old cars and just people are they're more poverty, you know. But the
Yeah.
Christian cities are more well kept, more touristy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, four. Oh, seven, seven. Okay, 724.
So, like, I genuinely think Jesus was a racist, but after that experience, he got rid of his racism and decided to be
Right.
a
Oh,
messiah for all people.
right. So I'll just finish reading it in case anybody was listening.
Yeah.
First, let the children eat all they want. Okay, I'll start again. Jesus left the place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it, yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an evil spirit came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, born in Syrian Phoenicia. She begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First, let the children eat all they want, he told her, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Yes, Lord, she replied, but even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Then he told her, for such a reply, you may go. The demon has left your daughter. She went home and she found her child lying on the bed, and the demon had gone. Right. I mean, I guess um, he was he was calling her a dog, right? As you were saying.
Yeah, in a more sort of
Indirect way.
indirect intellectual way. But the Jews called the Canaanites dogs.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, that was something I didn't know. Thank you for that.
Welcome. It's something that a lot of people like gloss over because I've been tell all my Christian friends, I tell a lot all the Muslims, they all confused. They don't know about the time that Jesus called I call them Lebanese, but yeah, Canaanite woman, but basically Lebanese woman. He called her a dog. Uh,
Hmm.
because that's what Jews refer. And you know, I'm guessing the Jews of this time, some ultra Orthodox Jews, they still think that. They still think that other humans are dogs, animals, not worthy to be, you know, part of their club. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting, and it's so contagious that Jesus himself made that mistake of calling someone a dog, to
Mhm.
which, you know, he got quickly schooled. I think she crushed his ego with her reply, and he decided to help her.
Mhm. Hmm. Um, you may enjoy Rabbi Misrachi's channel. He has a YouTube channel. His talks are usually around 3 hours, but so some might be shorter. Um, he, I mean, he does say that the perfectly good Gentiles. I mean, he does say that we're just not supposed to marry them. We don't know why, because it's just that God said Jews can't marry Gentiles, and if Jews marry Gentiles, then there would be no more Jews. And you know, I guess he does say it in a well, kind way, I suppose. He wasn't saying it to be saying, oh, because they're inferior or whatever. But I imagine if Jews um, believe in the story, then they think, well, we were chosen and they were not.
Yeah,
So
so they get
yeah.
a superiority complex, which, in
Well,
other words, is called racism.
I suppose so. I mean, but I suppose as a Gentile, I don't envy them. I don't think, oh, I want to be a Jewess. I want to be fussing around my food. I want to be, keeping the Sabbath. But I think if I were a Jew, I'd find it really annoying. Like, everybody knows what I'm supposed to be doing on Saturday, so I can't go shopping. I can't go to a football match if I were interested in football. It's like all these things that I can't do that people already know I can't do. So, I'd be, annoying, it's
But
like,
they're
oh,
still racist. They're still racist. This is what's scary is, I mean, you just have to look at the state of Israel. Israel and its policies is probably closest to Nazi Germany, the people that tried to wipe them out. Um, it's messed up. They're racists, and they need to be called out for being racist. The religion is racist. It needs to be called out. I'm going to call out as every moment I get. It's not anti-Semitic. It's facts. They are a racist religion, and people
hmm.
need to start talking up and making noise about it.
I suppose they would say, well, anybody, it's open to anybody to convert to Judaism. We wouldn't stop them if they wanted to convert. So, it's not racist because anybody can convert. And I guess
That,
the job.
depends on what Judaism you're talking about, because the ultra Orthodox Judaism believe that being a Jew is a race. It's not something you have to be born a Jew. You cannot become a Jew. You're talking about more secular Jews,
Oh, I
but
mean, there is a conversion process. I have found out about it. I mean, it's a long, it can be an expensive one because, it might take over a year. You might have to go and live in an Orthodox community. You can't just sort of, you know, go to your latest to your nearest synagogue and say, I want to convert. I mean, if you wanted to do it properly and Reform Judaism is considered by Orthodox Jews to be a heresy anyway. So
exactly,
if you were a Reformed Jew and you wanted to marry an Orthodox Jew, they'd make you a Reformed Jew convert to Orthodox Judaism and do it the hard way. So they are quite strict. I mean, those who take their religion seriously. Um, I suppose fundamentally, I don't. I don't envy them. I don't
Neither
envy
do I.
them
Neither
doing
do I.
all these things, and if they want to call themselves God's chosen people. Oh, yes, the another thing that Rabbi Mizrahi said was, I know that there are a lot of, Gentiles who want to convert to Judaism, but it's probably not a good idea for them if they don't really understand, because the whole idea of being a Jew is that we get punished more for things that are not even a crime for Gentiles. So, if you become a Jew, then all these things that were previously not a crime for you become a crime for you. And even if you're not actually punished in this life, the presumption is that if you're not punished in this life, you will be punished in the next.
Just because they're held to a higher standard does not mean we can simply gloss over the fact that they are racists. This
Hmm.
is an important thing. We need to make people aware because especially in the UK, we live in this place where, oh, anyone who's deemed anti-Semite, like, people in the Labour Party, it's just, oh, this is evil, they're so evil, blah, 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 blah. Why are they saying, oh, but guess what? Ultra-Orthodox Jews, they're all a bunch of racists, which, in 2023 is no longer accepted. But no one says anything about the racist Jews. No, that's hush hush because the media and the politicians are controlled by a Jewish lobby, and that's just a fact.
Which Jewish lobby? You mean that they kind of they have a double protection, for racial and religious grounds?
Yeah, they're protected. The Jews are protected more than any other religious group in the UK for sure, and America as well. I'm guessing, but I can only talk from the experience of the UK because that's where I'm based.
Yes, and because well, speaking as somebody legally trained, I know that Jews are protected on grounds of being Jewish. So if they're a liberal Jew, they're protected, racially, and if they're so if somebody hates you and you're Jewish but you're a liberal, you can claim protection, or if somebody hates you but you're not a liberal but you are an observant Jew, you also get protected, so they get double protection. Yeah, but
Yeah, but we should start calling them out. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
The two things that I try and push most: call out the Jews, and remember that because Jesus was a racist, because he was a Jew, but luckily he reformed, and the rest of these Jews need to reform as well.
So I mean, racism is something that you just saying you don't like whoever, but I guess if you don't do anything illegal to them, maybe you should be allowed to say you don't like them, or what do you feel? Because I don't know. I mean, the more you tell people you can't say things, then the more they want to say it, right?
I believe if you think your genetics somehow makes you superior in any way, shape, or form, you're an abomination. Um, Simple as that. You're disgusting, and you don't deserve to um, live on earth. And if I
Hmm.
was God, I would smite you.
But there are different. Okay, we're not talking about race now. I'm talking about the different denominations of Christianity, and really they kind of hate each other. Really, there wasn't once
Same
upon a
as the,
time
same
they
as the
killed each other
Muslims.
for
Same
being
as
the
the
wrong kind
Muslims.
of Christian.
Do you know why? It's because every denomination of Christianity and every denomination of Islam, they're all wrong. They're all a bunch of clubs formed together in their own opinion. Not a single one of them is pure Islam. Not a single one of them is pure Christianity. That's why.
Yes, I I would certainly agree with that. But I'm saying um, Catholics, I suppose, have been considered the snootiest of all because, well, maybe they're the oldest and most powerful
They're
church, or
they're
once
not the
upon a time
oldest.
they
They're
were.
the biggest. They're the biggest and most
Mhm.
powerful. Not the oldest. Orthodox is older than Catholic.
Really? I thought once upon a time everybody was Catholic, and then there was a schism, and then the
Well, okay, yes, they were all belonging to Rome, and then there was a schism between the Eastern and Roman Church. But the Eastern Church kept the traditions going more than the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church changed a lot of the rules. So by all, the ones that have kept the traditions more are the Orthodox. The Roman Catholics have evolved a bit more. But yes, the church did. But let's remember though, the initial Christians were in the Eastern Empire. They were in Lebanon, Syria, Israel. Well, I say Israel, I need to be careful with that. Palestine. They were the original Christians. Um, and then as they started to grow, they eventually influenced the Roman Empire. Constantine, I think it was,
yes, yes,
who
Constantine, right?
he managed to conquer Rome by using the cross as a psychological tool to scare his enemies, his pagan enemies.
Hmm.
That's how he conquered Rome, and that's how the Christ conquered Europe. And it's funny because I wear a cross, and Hamza asked me if it has any power, and I said yes, and he got excited, thinking, not really understanding what I meant. I meant it had psychological power. That's why brands. That's why branding is important. The cross is a power. The showing the cross is powerful. Um, it has power. It has psychological power and the power to influence. I know this
Yeah.
for a fact. I have a big golden cross. Have you seen it?
No, let's have a look.
So the
Oh, it's big.
big, big golden cross that I wear 'em, that I wear around everywhere I go in my village, and younger people saw this, and then when they got older, I saw them rocking large golden crosses because they got influenced by me. Your influence can echo into eternity because now that those 2, 3 people that are now wearing golden crosses that were influenced directly by me, their kids might then get influenced and wear golden crosses. And it's a chain reaction. So my golden cross in 100 years might be responsible for 100 golden crosses.
Hmm.
This is the power of influence, the power of psychology,
Yes, and well, the power of things, I suppose. Hmm.
power of things, symbols.
Gosh. Well, I suppose I'm just trying to say that with the Catholics, they think they're better than any kind of Christianity because they're the oldest, and also they have longer masses, right? They have a longer services, and they think, and then there was this thing called Catholic guilt, and it's like, oh, they're so pious, and they worry about every little thing, and they kind of kill themselves inside for every little sin, confession, and all that, and I was thinking to myself, maybe they have to think of themselves as better, because that would be the only reason for them to put up with all these, little rules. Because if they didn't think they were better or somehow got, you know, would get a better afterlife because they, followed it, their rules correctly, then they wouldn't do it, would they?
But Claire, let's and I've been brought up as a Catholic. I've never thought that. But let's just say you do think you're better, which is natural because it's what you're following. There's a difference between thinking I'm better because of my religion and then thinking I'm better because of my race. This is the thing with the Jewish thing. It's about race. It's about genetics. It's not about religion. This is what we really need to hammer down to anyone who's still confused. The Jews think they are the master race, right? Just like how the Nazis thought the blonde Caucasian man was the master race and then tried to eradicate the Jewish master race. Um, we say the Jews weren't the only target. Like the gypsies, the disabled. I don't know why the Jewish people. And this is another thing that's quite disgusting and wrong. Everyone points the Holocaust as a Jewish attack. It was, what about the gypsies? Why are they forgotten about? Why are the disabled forgotten about? Why are the blacks forgotten about? It wasn't just Jewish people, but they made it as some sort. It's always Jewish people. It's not just Jewish people.
I think the reason might be that, oh, well, there are just so few of them. So if they got, killed, it's like, oh, it's, really terrible. But it was like, it's Indians, so many of them, Chinese, so many of them, black people, so many of them, but Jews are so few, Maybe that's one of the reasons why people get all so hot and bothered about that.
There's more Jews than there are Maronite Christians. Well, like I'm a Maronite Christian. What about us? What about the Assyrian? What about the Christian Iraqis getting wiped out by stupid American wars? What about the Christians in Syria? Well, this is what I know, right? Since I was born till now, the superpower is America. And since I was born till now, the percentage of Christians in the Levant, in the Holy Lands, has decreased as a percentage. And one of the major reasons is due to fleeing war. War started by Americans. So Americans who are so-called Christian evangelicals, whatever, are responsible for the decimation of Christian populations in the Holy Land. What are they achieving? What was their aim? I feel like these people are hell-bent on trying to destroy every last Christian community in the Holy Land so they can bring about the end of the world. And they're very close to
It's a kind of. I get the impression from Jews who think the Messiah must be coming because they can't imagine the problems of the world ever sorting themselves out. So, because things are so bad as they see it, the Messiah has got to come. And I guess, anybody who's tired of living and just can't work things out and see no future, I guess they would be expecting the Messiah to come. It's kind of saying, well, life's so terrible, I want the world to end, and if the Messiah comes, the world will end. So,
Have you ever heard heaven on earth? Like it's a thing Catholics say. Like as it is in heaven, it shall be on earth. Heaven on earth, kingdom of heaven, the movie. You ever heard of that?
I'm not sure. It sounds vaguely familiar.
Okay, it's about wanting to
Is it the
build.
Lord's Prayer that you're talking about?
Yeah, in the Lord's Prayer we say, in our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our day. So it will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So as something is in heaven, it will be done on earth. Does that make sense? So it's basically saying building heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, I thought it just meant that God, if he exists, is in control of heaven as he is in control
Our Father who art in
of
heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. Thy will be done.
in
On earth as it is in heaven. His will, be
yes,
done on earth as it is in heaven.
yes. So he's in control of heaven and earth.
His will. Yeah. So what he wants to build. So as what he's building on heaven to be built on earth. Now, what if I
He
told you?
maybe has different ideas of what's going to happen on earth as what will happen in heaven. I mean, it could be God could will
What if I
a
told you
different thing to
my
happen in
daughter's? What if I told you my daughter's called Heaven?
Um,
So heaven is on earth.
okay.
Also, in Arabic culture, you call someone based on their firstborn child. So guess what my name was? Father of Heaven. Abu Heaven. Father of Heaven,
Oh,
which means
cute.
which means I was God. and then and then um but now I've got a son called Hector, so I'm father of Hector. But
Oh,
I
oh,
just find that funny. My wife picked my daughter's name.
oh, that's good. Well, heaven and Hector. It goes. It goes.
I,
Yes.
I've got a last question for you before I need to go.
Okay.
Uh, get your opinion on this. Before before I married my wife, I told her I want 4 children. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was a contract. I was quite specific on that.
Mm-hmm.
None, but obviously at the time she was signing up to a life where I'd owned a flat, I had a relatively good income, and life was going to be pretty relatively easy going.
Mm-hmm.
Now since then, I've obviously had mental health issues, lost work, got into loads of debts, wiped out my money, and we've had 2 kids. But now she wants to stop having kids. I still really want 4 kids. What do I do?
Well, you have to get on her right side, won't you, George? You have to. You have to get on the right side.
I don't think she's gonna change her mind unless I like become a millionaire or something.
Well, maybe it's a good thing to stop at two. Y- I think both of you have to agree. I guess at the end of the day, and if it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And I guess if she doesn't have to, you know, oh, okay. I guess I'm saying that if she felt that she was in a stable marriage and could rely on you, then she'll be happy to have the four that you want.
Let's hope so. I got.
Yes,
I guess I got. I got a good 10+ years to try and convince her to come around.
yeah, yeah, and maybe if you once you have your issues sorted out and you know how to control them when you're around her, and she trusts you to behave, then these things will happen. And I think fundamentally, you you seem a very calm man at the moment. I mean, obviously, I don't see you when, and you haven't seen me when I'm, annoyed or whatever. And maybe your epiphany will help you, or control yourself a bit more, or just sort of know when not to push so hard, or whatever it was your psychologist said.
Yeah. I mean, I did try to take that advice, but I still ended up in hospital again. Um,
Do they give you techniques about what to do when feel it coming on again, and whatever?
no, I honestly didn't do anything that wrong. That's the thing. But my where I messed up was I should have kept in contact with the community health nurses to keep their nerves at bay. So I've got a new community health nurse. It's a male. He seems very relaxed. He doesn't seem to be super like anxious. So I just got to keep a good relationship with him,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think I'll be fine.
Yes. Yes, that sounds a good idea. And if he's a male, if he's a man, maybe you'll get along a bit better than him and trust him a bit more. And I think, yeah, you just have to, you know, I suppose at some point there is somebody above you, even if we don't like him, and we have to get on their right side, and then after that, things will come right.
Yeah, yeah. God
Yeah.
willing.
Okay.
All
Uh,
right. It's been great talking to
for
you.
for your time, it's been good to talk to you again.
Take care. Have a good night.
Night. Sleep well.
All right.